Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner MetaZone, Roby and MScrub, and today we got some UNATs.
You're not ready for this.
I am.
Will it demonetize us? Can the algorithm pick up on like?
Well, yeah,
hums?
that was perfectly
like on sync,
in tune,
right?
Yeah.
so
you're gonna get demonetized, dude.
No,
not
dude.
me.
We're gonna get blacklisted because I'm too good at humming like melodies on air.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you had to grow up in the NBA to even understand the reference.
No, Space Jam.
Space Jam,
and,
whatever.
Yeah, NBA.
Right, but UNAT. Okay, we've been talking about NATs for a while now.
Yeah.
Non-arbitrary tokens.
That's right.
Which have up until now been mostly centered around like the fungible variation of such.
Yeah.
With the hope that one day there's going to be some non-fungible ability introduced into this.
Yeah,
framework.
so much so that we have coined it non-fungible NATs, right?
We did.
And
we
then-
thought that was proper.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe
because
some of y'all think it's more proper as well, but
yeah, it was only because NFNATs is like NFTs. It's like, well, it's NFNATs.
yeah, that was really the discussion point. It's like why are you guys like injecting oldness into something that is truly original and new, right? Why not like carry on this like this ethos of newness instead? It's like, non-fungible. Yeah, that was like so last cycle ago. Right. Let's keep that last cycle ago because this whole non-arbitrary stuff is just now emerging. So
That's right.
if you're creating non-fungibility with these new tools, let's call it something else. And it was proposed by
BitNat.
Shout out BitNat. How about UNATs?
That's right.
U for unique.
That's right.
Non-arbitrary tokens. And then at first it was like, let me look at it. So it's like write it down, see how it looks.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, it's pretty pleasing. NFNAT is kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
Right. So we went with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks to BitNat for coming up with that acronym. I think it's fitting. And so the reason why we're talking about UNATs is because I guess you're not ready for this.
Why are they not ready for this, dude?
Because NatCats dominated yesterday.
Yeah, we talked about NatCats so we weren't planning on doing another DMT video this week.
No.
Actually, like we wanted to try and not talk too much about this stuff. I don't know, just because there's so much else happening and we don't want to lose sight of everything else. Because we're like too tunnel vision. But I don't know, maybe at this point it's worth the sacrifice because there's so much interesting things happening within this DMT ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are, a couple days later. We have to do like an update, right? Because things are happening in the ecosystem.
Yeah, so we talked about it, and we thought this was interesting just because they were using DMT, and essentially you have a cat based off of the element called 3B. So the element name is 3B. The pattern happens to be the same name, 3B.
So do you want to do like a quick, like 1 minute, like elevator pitch, I guess?
So we can do this as an example. So we take this block, 43,292, right? And you're just like, okay, it's like, what does the actual bits field look like for block 43,292?
Yeah.
So what you do is you go to blockchain.com.
Mm-hmm.
Then you scroll down, you find Bitcoin.
Okay.
And then click on one of these blocks.
Okay.
And then up here in the address, you change the block number to 43,292 and press enter. Okay, so then here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Right, so let me just confirm that this is the right 43,292. All right, so here, let me zoom into the bits field, right? You get this number. It's like, where is 3B in this? Man.
I don't see it.
Yeah, neither do I. So what you do is because this was deployed as it was deployed as a hex. The bits field comes natively as a hexadecimal data type.
Yeah.
And then so just search for hex to text. And then click on this, and then make sure you're going from decimal to hexadecimal. Paste that bits number, remove the commas, and then press convert. And what do you know? This is the hexadecimal version of that bits field number.
Right.
And what do you see here?
A 3B, dude.
3B, the pattern.
In other words, that means this block contains
A cat.
a NatCat.
Yeah.
Right. So part of the NatCat minting process was similar to any other non-arbitrary token. Actually, it's exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
In the minting process of like Nat token itself, you're simply claiming a block. But in Nat token, the pattern was the bit field itself, which is an existing value in every single block. So there was no like discrepancy between blocks.
Correct.
In this case, there's a very specific pattern you're trying to identify within like this information of bits in a block. And that is like the parameter that determines the existence of this this UNAT.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool because if you the actually final outcome of this after the mint, the block out, roughly like around 7,000 to 8,000 cats.
Yep, that's right.
That's a good number, dude. That's a healthy like PFP project.
Yeah, think about what that means. Out of all the 830,000 blocks that exist right now, that pattern 3B only exists roughly 8,000 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In the hex field, but the bits field is like natively hex, right? For like
natively hex.
Bitcoin Core.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean this is why the indexers are able to specifically track, is able to identify and what's the word? Like detect the existence of these patterns, right? Because the bits field is supported. And based on the syntax of like the element inscription, the deploy inscription for the NAT itself. So these are all the frameworks that are in place today.
Yeah.
That's why if you go to mscribe, you look up on the NATs page, you're going to see a NatCats ticker.
Yeah, that's right.
So it looks like any other NAT token. It's fungible at the moment, right?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So when claiming this block, for example, 43,292, you claim it, you mint it, this is your cat. Right, so in the inscription itself, and I'll give you an example of what an inscription looks like. So this is what people are claiming, right? It's tap DMT mint. It's the deploy inscription of this project. The ticker is NatCats, and then that's where you put in the block number.
Yeah.
So this is what you own, right, for this particular cat.
Yeah.
And it's a UNAT because it's a unique non-arbitrary token, which this block number represents, right? So, but this means that this is a hybrid token. So what does that mean? That means that when you mint this thing, you not only own the cat, right, this particular cat, but you also have the ability to do a transfer inscription of a fungible version of NatCats. And that's what's being traded on Ordinals wallet right now, and you can list it on mscribe as well.
Yeah, so that is like the potential confusion. People who are purchasing those NatCats on Ordinals wallet, that's not actually a NatCat.
Yeah, it's not the art piece, but it is the fungible token that came from the art piece.
Yeah, it was generated at the same deployment. Right?
Yeah.
That's why there's hybrid, meaning like there's literally two separate assets that are generated under this mechanism, right? But they're associated to the same element, right?
Yeah.
Within this inscription. So
yeah,
there's going to be instances in the future where like a non-arbitrary art collection, a UNAT, like a NatCat, is going to have a supply like around 7 to 8 to 10,000 or something like that. But the fungible token that gets associated, maybe through like a more complex deployment scheme into the future, is going to have like a much larger supply.
Yeah, millions, billions.
Millions or billions, right? You could do that by referencing, okay, the existence of a pattern is what determines this this art component.
Yeah.
But the actual field also, whenever you do discover, remember the bits field, there's like 300 to 400 million bits per block. So that could actually be what determines the fungible token supply of that block.
Yeah.
So introducing interesting new mechanisms of how you could leverage that. You know, generating a Genesis event for like an art collection.
Yeah.
Now at the same time, it's not just art that is considered, right? It's like a whole ecosystem birth.
That's right.
Art plus tokens equals who knows?
Yeah.
Ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
So this could be scaled in like a massive way, and we've been thinking pretty deeply about this.
Yeah.
It's like imagining like a new class of like art collection, PFP collections in like the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Where potentially we can get past this like weird zone we're in where like the average PFP ecosystem holder base is like 3,000 or 4,000 people.
Yeah.
Because we're stuck on this arbitrary 10K thing.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. I mean, it's cool, but let's expand.
Do something else.
Yeah, let's expand the ecosystem and like what value can be generated when there's hundreds of thousands of people aligned through art.
Yeah.
And building culture around that and building new products, right? Bitmap is kind of similar to that. Bitmap, if you think about it, it's a generative art project.
It is, absolutely.
Each little bitmap is unique. There's almost 40,000 holders of that. So it pretty much is the largest PFP like community, right?
And it's the strongest NFT community out there. There's so many people building on top of it.
Correct.
So what would happen if you had, hundreds of thousands of people aligned on a non-arbitrary art that continuously, adds itself to the ecosystem?
I think that's how you like initiate and launch like a true like micro society, right?
Yeah, I
like,
think so.
Think about it as like metaverse avatars, like truly, like that is like the inception point of like an art release or whatever. Yeah. It's like 1 million of these little avatars. Like that is literally like the inhabitants of our metaverse ecosystem.
Each one unique.
Yeah, each one's unique. And then of course with this comes like a whole new fungible token because they're hybrid.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going to build like our DeFi ecosystem off of. We're going to do this, and that, right?
Yeah.
You're introducing so many more verticals of like interesting components, right?
Yeah. I mean, and so it's hard to know like what exactly people can do with this like hybrid ecosystem.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of this. We need to introduce like new stuff, right? Yeah. And by introducing new stuff, you get new stuff. Right?
That sounds about right, dude.
That's how it works, right?
At last I checked, that's what new stuff meant. Yes. You're right.
Yeah. So now this is like the first example of this guy like really, getting ahead of like our like implementation of a standard for this. And so there's going to be an update to the DMT framework to support, art like NatCats, to support applications, to support basically any type of content that you can think of, but in a way where you're kind of harnessing the pattern space of elements.
Correct.
Right. So a non-arbitrary supply for pretty much everything. Mm-hmm. And this is cool because now you can have an ecosystem that grows based off of a non-arbitrary inflation rate.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now you're adding new art per block.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. And it's like a dynamic like rarity.
Yeah. Yeah, because that new block, like if you look at this this Git book by EV and you look at traits documentation and just read through some of the traits here, right? For example, a block that contains quadruple eights has an alien bow tie.
There's only one right now.
One of these exist.
Yeah, so fast forward this into the indefinite future. At some point, there's going to be a larger supply of these ultra scarce, but that adds so much value.
Still, the rate of addition is like extremely slow.
Correct, but that adds like so much more, in my opinion, like an interesting component to these collections. Right? It's like they're future proof in a sense. Like there's something to look forward to always.
Yeah, independent
of like, the artist founder like having to create like a new collection or something like Azuki 2s or like, this is Bored Ape 2. It's like, the collection evolves over time, non-arbitrarily.
Yes.
Right? Because those parameters are set, dependent on these patterns and it's all tied to Bitcoin, right? Like that's something Bitcoin's forever going to exist and run.
Yeah.
So you're tying like the manifestation of these rarity components and just the art itself into something that's going to live on forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, look at these other ones that don't exist yet. I think they quadruple zeros, alien earring right, and then quintuple zeros, alien tiara.
Yeah, this is very interesting, dude. You can go deep and experiment with this. Like, this is like literally, like, what is this? This is like true digital evolution, right? Where you can introduce like rare traits, and then now if you add a breeding component down the line to this, you can actually like artificially try and produce like an ideal trait set down the line. If you're mating these NatCats with ultra rare traits to try and create like an artificial hybrid species down the line. I don't know. It sounds very reminiscent of like Axes and CryptoKitties and stuff.
Right.
But it would be like the non-arbitrary variation of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. This is just so interesting because now like the canvas to come up with your own art based off of like block data. Yeah. And we're only talking about a single field here, bits field.
That's true.
Right? There's like at least 30 more fields where you can come up with like even more rare components.
Yeah.
More ability to be flexible with like creativity.
Yeah.
And it is just like something brand new that nobody's ever seen before.
I totally agree. Yeah, this got me very excited. So shout out to EV for, like you said, kind of like picking up this torch independently. Like we didn't do this we were under the impressions like whenever we deploy this UNAT, I guess, addition
Yeah.
to the DMT framework,
Which we've been working on for a couple of weeks now. So we were on the same wavelength as EV.
correct. It's all about like converting these existing like shells, these minting shells that right now are being like discarded.
Yeah.
And across all of, or like inscription tokens,
Yeah.
right? Like the mint inscription has no value. So let's just like disregard them. It's literally junk, especially in the eyes of Casey. Like, but now we're turning this junk inscriptions, these JSONs, into actual
pieces.
art.
Yeah.
Probably, from my perspective, the most valuable of art that we've ever come up with.
Yeah,
Like,
I 100% agree. Yeah, on this channel, we've almost never talked about art.
we never have really, because art never really resonated with us like
No.
to our core before. I don't know why. Maybe it was missing something.
It was just so like out of thin air. It's just.
Yeah, I guess maybe that was it, because now all of a sudden I don't know. I mean, there's a beauty to like human ingenuity, of course. It's like, yeah, this art was made by a human being, right?
Yeah.
There's something wrong with this guy's head, most likely, because like because his art is like crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's like a reflection of like his own inner demons. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of like the allure and the mystique of art, right? It's some classes of art, not all art is like trippy or whatever. But
Yeah.
the point is like that's what gravitates humans to art over time.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like something new, a new variation of that that's not dependent on just like human input, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like using Bitcoin as like another tool to creating art.
Yeah, I guess this falls aligned with like, the whole AI thing is just, I don't know, maybe this is just the trend. It's just for moving human input into a lot of things, maybe somehow create some newer value. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like that's the value of non-arbitrary tokens, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to depend on the arbitrary decision making of like
Yeah.
human beings anymore with like, manipulating token economics.
Yeah.
We could just remove that necessity and just like automate this through non-arbitrary patterns and such.
Yeah, and as a creator of UNATs, you have to be a little bit more creative because it's not a 10K project anymore. It's not like here are the 10,000 pictures.
Yeah,
It's more as like, how do I sustain my art indefinitely?
it's true.
Right? That's cool.
That is cool.
Like you're always going to see new cats pretty much forever.
Yeah. So let's just take a look. Yeah, these are some of the cats. We can quickly go through like
Yeah. So
what people are saying.
Unison here, he says, what in the world are NatCats? The first non-arbitrary art collection on Bitcoin, non-fungible, non-arbitrary tokens, which are now unique non-arbitrary tokens. NAT introduces a novel approach to non-fungible assets creation by leveraging non-arbitrary data using DMT. The project uses a multi-pattern framework to generate one-of-one PFP artworks with a variety of traits.
So you definitely do a deep dive into the
Yeah, so this is like a succinct kind of representation of NatCats and like what makes up a NatCat. So I'm gonna link this in the description, that way you guys can read through it. It's for like a quick synopsis.
Yeah.
And we have another one here by DGen Coder. There are gnats. There are gnat.
These are gnats.
These are gnat.
Come on, dude.
The
Get with the
cats
meme, dude.
You're looking for.
It's kind of hard, right?
It is kind of hard.
So these are not the cats you're looking for.
That's
if you
right.
didn't understand that syntax conversion, I guess, the communication blur.
It says buying DMT. Okay, so here's, kind of reiterating the issues. Like buying NatCats on Ordinals wallet, you're buying the fungible token. So you could, in theory, collect all fungible NatCats, right? You have them all in your wallet and not have a single cat art piece.
Correct. This isn't like a fractionalization mechanism like you're seeing
No.
with ERC 404, where like somehow the ownership of those fungible tokens, like it
Equate.
determines whether or not you're gonna have that art in your wallet tomorrow or not.
Yeah.
They're gonna burn that art
Right.
if you don't have like the fungible token side that's tied to it. Right. That's not what this is.
Correct.
Now that could be developed independently down the line, some sort of like tie together mechanism for these hybrid
Sure,
tokens if
sure.
the community wanted that for
Yeah,
whatever
if
reason.
some developer wanted to do that, you could do that.
Yeah. That's the point of this, is like we're creating like an even more like primitive infrastructure below like injecting that like arbitrary scheme.
Yeah.
The utilization of hybrid tokens, right? It's like it doesn't have to be like so fucking directed like that. Just go even lower to just introduce just the primitive vehicles themselves so that the ecosystem can build out of that.
Yeah, and if the ecosystem wants fractionalization of non-arbitrary art, they can do that.
Yeah, it's like a whole sector.
Yeah,
like these arts collections, their hybrid tokens are like in sync, synchronized.
Yeah,
and now it's like that's what determines true ownership and fractionalization and shared ownership and all this stuff.
Yeah, so definitely read this tweet as well from DJ Encoder. So it just kind of breaks that down. It's like, just remember, the cat art is an asset that is separate than the fungible tokens. They're two separate assets.
Okay, so this reminds me of NATs. Whenever we first deployed the NAT token, so when trading, bro, when indexing.
Yeah. So so technically these can be they're tradable right now. It's just
OTC.
Just OTC. It's just the art isn't visible yet, but it will be.
So what are you actually trading then?
You're trading the mints.
What do those look like?
They look like this document up here.
Well, you actually have like a nice little showcase of your trash inscriptions, right?
I have a ton of trash inscriptions.
There they are, dude.
Yeah, so here's an example. So here's a NatCats mint. Yeah. So they look like a JSON. So we're going to replace this with the actual image of the cat.
Right. Whenever the actual like formal addition to the DMT framework, enabling hybrid tokenization and UNAT manifestation is like part of the whole umbrella framework, right?
Correct.
So it's not like you're literally going to have NATs, which are your fungible tokens that are generated at deployment, and then your UNATs, which is like the unique asset component. Doesn't have to be art, by the way.
So just if it's not clear, whenever you mint any BRC20 or any tap token or any really mostly fungible tokens, these mints, they're basically a signal to an indexer to say, I've minted this asset. I have a certain amount of fungible tokens in my possession, and these mint inscriptions are useless. Like you can send them to your centralized exchange wallet to recoup the sats that are represented here, and they're essentially useless. So what we've done is we've made them not useless. We made them into art.
We made them valuable.
Yeah.
And now there's no longer like a complaint. It's like, this is all just bloat.
Yeah.
It's not. This is actually like value.
Yeah. Casey, that JSON's actually art.
Yeah. We don't need runes anymore, guys.
Yeah. All right. So last thing is, let me kind of share what we're doing. And here we are. So what you're looking at here is the NAT logo, the NAT logo.
That's right. But it looks different, dude.
It looks different, right?
Yeah.
So if I kind of scroll through here, these represent each block of the NAT
Every
icon.
time like a color shift is occurring,
yeah,
this is a different variation of this logo, right?
Yeah, correct. So part of like our
I had
testing.
To take off my shades.
Yeah,
I'm getting not true color with these shades on. By the way.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna update the NAT deployment to point to this inscription, and every block that's owned, that anybody who's minted an NAT will get this image to represent that mint.
And to be clear, like whenever like block out minting, right?
Yeah, block out minting. Not so if you hold just a bunch of NATs that you got from Ordinals wallet or anywhere else, that doesn't count, right? Correct. It's the mint inscriptions, which is a completely separate asset than the transfer inscriptions.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even know where they are. They're somewhere jumbled in with the rest of your mint inscriptions, right? But yeah, once this but this is going to be mostly supported on mscribe, right? Yeah. Day one. So this is going to be dependent on like whether or not these assets show up like on your Unisat wallet.
Yeah.
That's going to be up to like third party support, right?
To support. Yeah, and so part of our kind of like R&D here, because this is new stuff, is that we're going to update the DMT spec to make this natively. Right? So it's up to the creators who want to deploy an NAT to say, hey, this NAT is going to include art. Yeah. Right. And some NATs will not. Some NATs are just focused on the fungibility aspect. Other NATs, creators out there, they want the hybrid ecosystem. And then, and so, it's up to the creator to decide which one they want.
Interesting. Okay. So we got a lot of interesting things on the horizon. Like DMT progress is accelerating at quite the pace.
Yep.
I think there was like articles released yesterday. It's like tap tokens are now like more active than BRC20s.
Yeah.
I wonder why. There's a lot of interesting things happening on DMT. If you want a clear picture visualization of all that, definitely go to mscribe. Like that's where all the elements that are actually validated are being aggregated.
Yep.
And of course, there's an easy deployment interface. If you're trying to create a non-arbitrary token of your own that's referencing these elements, you could do that on NScribe. And we're pretty close to deploying like probably one of the more revolutionary components to like this whole thing is like the actual
the discovery of patterns,
the discovery interface.
Yes.
of non-arbitrary tokens through like parsing through blocks.
Yes.
We don't have you can call that block running. I don't know.
Block running. Yeah.
We said that once on the podcast, like that activity is block running. Once we deploy that interface, you guys will kind of understand what we're talking about.
Yeah. It could happen today, as a matter of fact.
Maybe. So keep your eyes peeled. Definitely join the Discord groups because there's a lot of discussion happening.
Yeah. You know? All right. That's it for us. We've talked about some DMT, some NatCats, and you're probably not ready for this, but.
You said not? How dare you, dude? Yeah. You're not ready for this, dude.
There we go.
Or you're not ready, meaning implying you are ready.
You are ready, yeah.
I'm not ready.
Everybody watching this is ready.
Yeah, you're not ready.
If you're not watching this, you're not ready.
That's right.
All right, guys. Appreciate it, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.